So great to have you with us today, Brian, on our show Roots to Roots. And it's good to have you from Sydney. And let's begin by talking about telling audience about your journey, a bit of your background, and how you landed up in Sydney from India.
Oh, ask away. That's a long question. So ask away, and I'll answer. Basically, I came to Australia in 1997 from Madras. I still call Chennai Madras. I was a journalist for the best part of my life there. Theatre was a hobby, and theatre for children was a hobby too. In fact, we started the first theatre group for children in Madras at that time. I wanted to pursue my hobby, and hence I came to Australia.
Okay, so can you tell us more about your hobby? What did you pursue? Why did you come here? How it happened?
Uh, like I said, children's theatre, entertainment for children was a hobby, but it's something where I saw need and possibility. And Australia seemed to be in children's theatre in Australia seemed to be growing and booming at that time. So I thought it would be a good place to begin my personal journey. When I first came to Australia, went and saw a few productions, and then decided to open my own production company within maybe 6 or 7 months of landing here. So that's what I did. And I went to book one of a theatre which I liked called the Independent Theatre in North Sydney. It was one of Australia's longest living theatres. When I went in to book it for a production of The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz, as you know, is the old book written in 1900 by L. Frank Baum, made into several movies. Judy Garland starrer, The Wiz with Michael Jackson, now Wicked Part 2, all based on parts of The Wizard of Oz. So I wrote my own version of it and decided, to see if it would run or play here. When I went to book the theatre initially, they wouldn't give it to me for several reasons. The first thing they said was we're talking about 1998 here, 98. No one from your ethnic background has ever booked this theatre before. That's what I was told. I was also told nobody would want to see your version of The Wizard of Oz when, we have the big ones running. Anyway, after a bit of hooing and hawing, I did book the theatre, and the same show that they said nobody would want to see completed 5,000 performances globally. And I was the first Indian in that field in Australia to ever achieve this, and I'm very proud of that.
Great. So tell us a bit more about your struggle, as you said that when they were not convinced. How did you convince them, and finally, what was their reaction when you could do this play of your background and all that happened there?
I think Australia of 1999 was not as multiculturally accepting as it is today. So they stereotyped people. If someone from India walked into a theatre, they thought we wanted to do an Indian cultural show, not a piece of Western musical theatre. It took a bit of time to convince them, hey, this is what we want to do. Sat down, had a chat. When the chats don't work, you tend to get a bit aggressive. And I think that's the way you push through. And that's what I tell young people today, Sumit. And especially young people coming to, or moving to other countries with a purpose or with a dream. And I always say, don't let go of that dream, because you don't need to give anyone permission to stamp that out. Be true to yourself, pursue it, and you.
So you're one of very many successful Indians over there in Australia, but
Hmm.
still Indians have this dream to come to Australia, make it big there. What is your
Hmm.
one lesson to the Indians who would like to come, who are watching us? They would like to come to Australia.
I have actually two things to say, Sumit. One is you've left India behind for a reason. So don't try and recreate India in Australia. Understand what you're coming to another place, you're coming to another society for a reason. Understand what you could contribute from the richness of your background and your culture, which indeed is very rich. But what can we contribute to make our new home a better place for everyone? And we need to be mindful. We are here. Let's get into the mainstream and let's do it together.
Well, that's a very valid point for the people who want to come to Australia. I'm sure lots of troubles happen with people there. Lots of times there are accusations of racism and all. Have you ever, seen this kind of discrimination? You have anything to say on this? Is it there?
Sumit, what's different from Western, what we call racism in the West, to the Indian caste system? I mean, there's racism in our own country, but we don't call it that. We call it casteism or a caste system, where we discriminate
Mm-hmm.
between the different castes. It's still happening today in India. And I think it happens everywhere. It is within the human being and within the human being's heart. I mean, there are wonderful people around us. You always get the odd idiot. And that's universal. I think the way forward is for us to understand each other as human beings primarily, and respect each other's religions, each other's cultures as human beings. And to that extent, I chair a not-for-profit today called Rainbow Crossing. And we conduct what's the largest multicultural children's festival in the southwest of Sydney. The whole premise is this, Sumit. When we are kids, I mean, you look at where you are in Delhi. Okay, I look at where I was in Madras or Chennai, as we
Mm-hmm.
call it now. If I walked 5 minutes down my road, I landed up at a temple. If I walked maybe about 20 minutes or 25 minutes the other way, it was a mosque. Another half an hour to 40 minutes, I'm talking about walking. Half an hour to 40 minutes, we were in church. I come from a Christian background. Okay, there was the Gurdwara, there was a thing. Now, what did we know as kids? We knew every festival. Come Christmas, the whole mob would be at the church. Good food. Come a Muslim festival, we'd all go to our friend's place. Lovely biryani. Come Diwali, we'd all be around the temple and our Hindu friends. Beautiful sweets. Where did we lose that? And where did we lose that innocence and togetherness? And we need to reclaim that, each and every one of us.
That's very valid point. Very valid point. It's good for audience as well. But can you take us through again a bit of your professional journey? You made it big in Sydney so far. Now, what is your one professional lesson which you would like to tell people? Professional, I mean, do because a lot of people, students are landing in foreign lands now with for the sake of taking degrees. Lots of people are falling into scams and all that. So, what is your professional advice to millions of students who aspire to be in foreign lands?
Do your research, be mindful, and always remember the grass is not always greener on the other side. So, if you do your research properly and you're not carried away by someone shining a golden coin across the sea, you will do well. Do whatever, something that boils down to this: do whatever you do for the right reason. I mean, I became a journalist because I loved writing. I loved writing. I wanted to continue writing. I'm a science graduate. My university was maths, physics, chemistry. But I decided that I would love to write rather than be locked in a lab. So, I went to a little evening paper in Madras in those days and just pursued that. And I think that's anyone's life lesson. Yes, okay, you hit a few hiccups. Some people call it failures. I don't. Every hiccup is a stepping stone. So don't be discouraged. Yes, you're in a new place. Foreign students come here, Indian students come here. Their expectations are different to reality.
Yeah, right. Great. And last few questions. What do you miss most about India? What do you appreciate about India? Given a chance, would you relocate back to India?
Um, I don't know what tomorrow holds. None of us do. I never expected to do what I'm doing in Australia. Um, we run a family, well, we run two businesses here. A family business, which is called Oz Funland, based again on the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, we decided we'd open a center for children, which has now grown into a huge community center in the southwest of Sydney, for which I was the first Indian to be made a Citizen of the Year here in Campbelltown, which I'm very proud of again. To me, so I don't know about relocating, Sumit. I can't be dishonest with that answer. But what do I value about India? I value our cultural heritage. I value the arts that we have in India, the sense of togetherness and family that we still hold on to dearly in India. Yes, it's arguable that it's changing in the metro. It may be changing. It's changing very slowly. In the West, it's accelerated beyond that point, beyond change. That's what we need to do, Sumit. We need to bring these values that we hold dear and not lose them in a new environment, but use those values to help embellish our new environment so that everybody is the richer for it.
Great, great. And one last thought you want to leave for the audience, one last thing you would like to share from your side. Any story, any exciting time when you came here and that still is embedded in your mind?
Definitely, Sumit. As a journalist, I was privileged to interview several huge figures. I interviewed Muhammad Ali, Mother Teresa, uh, you name the Hollywood and Bollywood stars or whatever, in India, who later became dear friends. People like Rajinikanth. Yeah, I think from each one, MF Husain, we roamed the streets of Madras together. Rukmani Devi Arundel. I sat at Kalakshetra at her feet and watched her teach and impart knowledge. And I think from each one, and you know that as a journo too, Sumit, from each person you pick up something along your journey. And they all add to your overall personality. I was blessed that as a 17 and 18-year-old, I could do that. And my mom, I owe a lot to my mother because she gave me the freedom in days when that sort of freedom was not a done thing. To pursue a journey, and she ended up as vice president of one of your largest television networks, actually, in India. So, yes, I would say to young people everywhere, when you look at other people, never look down at them. And if you look down only for one reason. You look down because you want to pick them up. And that's the message I'd like to leave with you, Sumit.
Great thought, great conversation, great teachings. A very good conversation with you from Sydney. It is glad to catch up with you today, and we hope to bring more stories like this for our audience of the Voice of India World. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for making it possible.
Thank you for having me, Sumit. God bless your efforts.